Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. Before we get into the actual hands themselves, I just want to say I am sorry because I fell way behind in answering all those questions and comments that you guys posted on the last video. It's been kind of a crazy week for me, so please forgive me. I'll try to get to those this upcoming week. Anyway, we're going to be playing in the 1-3 game, buying for $500, and we're off and running. All right, first interesting hand of the day, I got King Queen offsuit. There was a $10 straddle. One player limps in. I raced to $40 in position. Only the limper puts in the call. And just the two of us see a flop that comes King Jack 4 Rainbow. Pretty good flop for my hand. They don't have a very big stack. I decided to just bet out here for $40. Trying to get some value on possible draws or maybe a weaker king. And I get jammed on. Yeah, this is probably a King Jack, and maybe I can get away from it. Either that or, maybe a pocket fours, but with that short of a stack, it's going to cost me less than $100 to put in the call for a $370 pot. I don't like it, but I don't think I can fold for that price. I put in the call. Turn is an ace, river is an ace. Now I beat all those King Jacks, but he has pocket jacks, and yeah, surprise there. The player opened a raise for 20 and got two callers. I'm on the button with King Jack suited. I think this is good enough to put in a call, so I do. Flop comes out ace 10 9 with two diamonds. No spades, not very good, but it does get checked around to me. I get a free card, so I'm going to take my free card and see if I can spike a queen. Oh, that's beautiful. First two players check, and the next player bets out for $60. Now, he doesn't have a lot left, and I was thinking to myself, let's just put in a call. I know I'm supposed to raise here, but I decided just to put in a call, see if I can get an overcall, which I don't, and I can get all the money in on the river. Well, I don't have to worry about trying to get all the money in because when it comes to Queen of Spades on the end, my opponent just jams all in. He has a little over 200 and change. I decided to put in a quick call. He shows me ace queen, and off to a bad start. Well, it's time to reload, so that's exactly what I do. Reach in my pocket, grab an extra 500, and a little while later, I pick up pocket aces. Good hand to have. Bunch of limpers. I race to 25 with my pocket aces, and I end up getting two callers. They put in $3, but now it's worth $25. All right, here we go. Headed off to a flop that comes out King Jack 8 with two clubs. I do not have a club in my hand, so that could be an issue. Both check to me. I go ahead and bet for $40. Could probably go a little bit larger here, but I figure if someone has some sort of stuff in there, they were going to come along, and then I can make a bigger bet on the turn. Well, I get one caller, and the turn card is not ideal. It is the 10 of spades. It brings in a lot of straights, a lot of two pairs. The only real one pair hand I'm beating are hands like King, Queen, and Queen, Jack. So when it's checked to me, I decided to be a little bit safe and check it back. And of course, the river card comes as a 9 of diamonds. It goes from bad to worse. Now basically every possible hand he would call me with has me beat, except for maybe a nut flush draw that bricks out. Well, it really doesn't matter because when he decides to bet for $95, there's nothing I could do but wave the white flag and surrender. So I take one last peek at that board and throw my cards into the muck. So I'm definitely not running well today. I did play two other hands, one in which I flopped the nut flush draw with a pair and I brick out. And the other one I had pocket queens. I really thought I had this on film, but I guess I didn't. I was up against pocket jacks and pocket fives, and the flop came 8 high. Of course, the player with pocket jacks shoves all in on me. Player with pocket fives calls, and there was a possible straight and flush draw. I call, and I end up losing the pocket fives. So after getting knocked down to about $60, I jammed twice. Once I won, once I lost, and then I headed on home with a $1,000 loss. Not the way I wanted to start off the week, but there's always tomorrow. Well, the next day started off with Queen 10 of diamonds in the big blind. There were several limpers that came in, and a player on the button raised it to $6. Of course, this is a green light to try to take this one down, so I raised to $36 from the big blind, just expecting to take the money down, but I get a call from a very, very short stack for the $36, and then another call from the player on the button. So it's just going to be the three of us when we head off to this flop with $115 in the center. Flop comes out above average. 9-6-3, all diamonds. Of course, I have the flush. Well, I'm going to lead out for a small bet here, $35, just trying to get my opponents to build a pot for me. Short stack goes all in for his remaining chips, comes around to the player on the button, and he does decide to put in the call for the $35. Well, the all-in player could have anything. He could have a diamond higher than mine. Player on the button, I think, probably most likely has a diamond higher than mine. Maybe some sort of pocket pair that he doesn't want to let go. So dealer figures out the side pot, and we're going to go see a turn card, which is not the best card in the world. It is the 9 of hearts. Of course, it pairs the top card, so anyone with a 9 now has 3 of a kind, and a possibility of a full house. Of course, a full house beats a flush, but I'm still going to bet because I still think I'm way ahead. I bet out for $85, trying to get some value from someone with a non-believing pocket pair. Maybe they have a bigger flush draw. Maybe they have a 9. Anyway, they call quickly, and we see the 8 of spades on the river. Pretty good card. Doesn't complete the flush. I guess it makes 9-8 possible for someone to make a full house. I'm trying to figure out how much somebody would call if they had, say, a 9 or a pocket pair like 10s, 7s. I bet 160. My opponent on the button thinks for just a little bit before flicking the call. I turn over my flush, expecting to win, and he ends up mucking his hand. So it looks like we're going to... Oh, wait. The other guy had pocket 8s? So he made a runner full house. Well, at least I got the side pot, and he got the main. Well, at least that main pot was not that big. I started set mining here. I had pocket 3s, no things. Pocket deuces set mine, nothing. Another one, pocket 7 set mine, nothing. Then we did a bomb pot. It was a $10 bomb pot. We got 9 players, so there's $90 in the main. Sometimes bomb pots are fun. Other times they're just torture. This particular time, I looked out at 2 kings. And of course, the board is Queen 10, 9, rainbow. Overpairs are not very good on coordinated boards like this, but I do have a straight draw. And it gets checked all the way around to the player in the cutoff, who bets for $40. Now, I don't really like my hand that much. But for $40 from a late position bet, and everyone else has shown basically weakness, I think I have to take one off. I don't really think this is a good thing. I could easily fold this and sleep well, but I decided to call for the 40, and everyone else folds out. So I'm going to be heads up with a player who with a wide range, and the turn is a jack of diamonds, which is beautiful. I make the king high straight. In fact, I make 2 king high straights. I check it over to my opponent who bets for $100. He can have sets, he can have 2 pairs, he can have a smaller straight. I guess he can also have a king. But I think this is a time to get all the money in. So after some thought, I just decided to go ahead and jam on him. Stick it all in there, and he puts in a very quick call. See a river card of a 6 of diamonds, and he shows that he had the king jack of hearts for a flop straight. So I got a little lucky this time. Well, so far day 2 is going better than day 1. I actually won a few pots. Here I have pocket tens. After two people limp in, I raise to $30. I get a quick call from the player on my left and a call from the player on his left. Wow, this is look like we're building a pretty good sized pot. It gets over to the player on the button who is plays a tighter range, you might say, and he raises to 105. Now, I just have to say, this is 90% of the time it's pocket aces, and the other 10% of the time it's pocket aces. It's folded to the player in the big blind who thinks for a long time and finally decides on folding his hand. He says he was really wanting to call, but the raise was just a little bit too big. So he mucks his hand, and it comes back around to me, and I'm going, all right, should I go set mining? How much more money does this player have? And he had about another $250, $60 behind from the appearances. Am I getting the right price? It's close, but the way I've been running the last few sets, pocket pairs I haven't been flopping any sets. And why do I want to, take an inferior hand up against this guy? If he had a big stack, I would definitely do it. If he had like 500, 600 or more, I'll definitely be set mining for that price. But for only about another 260 maybe dollars behind, do I really want to put $105 in there and set mine? I decided it was not a good idea. Player to my left also decided the same thing. He later told me that he had pocket fours. The player in the big blind actually had pocket fives. The other player puts in a call, and we see a flop of 10-5-4. So it would have been set over set over set. And of course, the player on the button had pocket aces, and he jams all in. The other player ended up folding, and it's a little irritating. I was very pleased with my fold. I think it's the right play, and of course, I get to see I would have flopped top set in a set over set situation because the player on my left says he was definitely calling if I called. I didn't know that. If I thought I was going to get over calls, the pot odds would have been better for me to go ahead and set mine, but you can't rely on that kind of wishful thinking. So I think I did the right thing. The guy did show pocket aces, and it could have been such a big, big pot. All right, there's a $6 straddle and 5 limpers, so I complete from the big blind with 8-6 suited. Flop is pretty good. It comes ace, 10, 9 with 2 spades. I got 2 spades in my hand. One more spade, I make a flush. I also have a 7 for a chance to make a straight. I check it over, and it gets bet from someone in middle position for $30. 2 players fold, and it's back to me. I think I have enough equity to go ahead and complete this call. Well, after I call, the player in the middle of the table also overcalls. So we're going to have $132 in the center of this pot. And we see the beautiful 3 spades on the turn. I don't really think it pays to check this. If someone has a good hand, I want them to pay to draw to it. So I just bet out for $65. It's a half-size pot bet, and both players quickly fold, and we actually win a pot. Well, here 2 players limp in, and the next player raises to $20. They get called in one spot, and then it's folded around to me. I am in the blind with aces. That's nice to wake up in the big blind. I make it $70, $50 more for each of them. First player, who's initial raiser, puts in a quick call. The next player is a little bit short. He has $59 left in his stack, and he puts it all in there. So we're going to have $22 on the side, and we got $188 in the main. So there's some money out there for us to get. It's just whether we're going to get it or not. Well, the flop comes out pretty good for my hand. King 8-6 with 2 clubs. Of course, I do not have the ace of clubs So there's a possibility of flush draws out there. I decided to bet for $100 trying to build that side pot. If the player had a king or a flush draw, he would have definitely called. The other player flips over pocket sixes and he turns quads. Not ideal. So we lose with aces against sixes. Well, it's time for another bomb pot. Of course, they've been playing $10 bomb pots today. I don't know exactly why, but sometimes they do 15 and other times they do 10. So this is a $10 bomb pot. And the last card dealt to me was the Jack of Diamonds, and it got hit the stack of the player next to me and flipped on over. So of course it needs to be replaced, but I really hate when stuff like that happens. So we know the Jack of Diamonds is dead. I look at my other card. I would have had Jack 9 of Diamonds. Oh well. Well, the flop comes up Jack 9 5 with 1 diamond. So I would have flopped top 2 pair with a backdoor flush draw. So it's time to look at my other cards, see if I have anything that's even worth playable. It does get checked all the way around to me, and I look down at a 10 of diamonds. So I definitely would have bet if I had top 2, but since I don't, it gets checked all the way around. Turn card is a 2 of diamonds. Yeah, it gives me a flush draw. Player bets out real small for $15. Kind of a really odd size bet in a bomb pot. But heck, for $15, I got second pair and a flush draw. I'm going to go ahead and draw to it. River card comes as a brick, 7 of clubs. It does make the obvious straight of 8-10. And my opponent bets again for kind of a small sizing of $45. Now, I don't think he has anything that great. He should really bet a little bit larger to protect it on the turn if he did. So I think this is like a 1 pair type of hand, maybe a weak 2 pair. I don't know, maybe 5 deuce or something. So I decided to put him to the test. 1 jack is gone, so I don't think he has that much. So I make it 245. Well, he asked for a quick count, and then he started reaching for chips, and I go, oh, Chinola. It looks like I'm going to get called, and I do. So I complained about how I had Jack 9 of diamonds, had top 2 pair, and he turns over pocket jacks. So what I thought was a bad situation where they turn over my Jack of diamonds and I would have flopped 2 pair with a flush draw actually saved me all my chips, because trust me, if I had Jack 9 and that flop, I would have bet it. He would have called at least. Turn card would have came with a flush draw. All the chips would have got in, and I would have got felted. So I'm feeling a little bit fortunate at this point. Well, even though I didn't lose my entire stack that last hand, I did lose a significant amount of money. So I decided to add $500 to my stack, and then I get 9-8 suited. I usually fold this or I raise with it. I hardly ever call with it. So I raised to $15. And it does seem to bring in some more players, because we end up going 6 ways to this flop with $90 in the center. If I hit this thing, nobody will see it coming. And the flop comes out Jack 7-6 with 2 hearts, the 7-6 of hearts. So I flop an open end straight flush draw. There is an overcard, of course. My opponent to my right fires for $20. I still just have a drawing hand. More people that come in there, the better. In my case, I need a hit, because I don't think anyone's going to be folding a jack. The player at the end of the table, who's been playing fairly conservatively, decides to raise to $80. Now, what does this mean to me? Well, I think he can easily have a hand like 7-6 for 2 pair. Of course, he can also have a set in this position. The one I'm worried about most is since there's a Jack of diamonds, he can have a jack with a flush draw. That's a possibility also, but it would have to be like a king jack of hearts or ace jack of hearts. I don't think he'll be doing it with a smaller flush draw. So I'm leaning towards like he has a set, but I'm worried about him having, say, king jack of hearts. I don't think I could go anywhere. Open end straight flush. I know I got at least 8 good outs. Anything that makes me a straight. Well, turn card comes as a queen of hearts. I make the flush. I got to charge all those sets in 2 pairs, so I jam. If he has a bigger flush, he's just going to get paid off. He does make a fairly quick call, and we see a jack of clubs on the end, which makes full houses galore, but he already had the ace high flush with ace jack of hearts. All right, I admit I'm a little bit steamed right now. Nothing's been going right. This particular hand, I'm in the small blind with ace jack of clubs. There is a limp, and a raise to $24. Player to my right in the cutoff calls the 24. I call the 24. Player in the big blind calls the 24. First limper calls the 24. Next limper folds. Third limper now raises to 150. What? This person, what? 2 people limp in front of him and he just limps, and now he wakes up and raises to 150. Like if I had 2 limpers in front of me and I had a big hand, I would go ahead and raise. Everyone else folds out, so I'm thinking he has like a medium-sized pocket pair, 9s, 10s, something like that he might want to fold. I decided just go ahead and jam all in. He snap calls right away. And I go, well, at least if he has an overpair, I got an ace. I got 31% equity if he has a hand as strong as pocket kings or queens. Well, obviously, we're going to need some help because I think we are way behind. Flop comes out king, 10, 5, rainbow. There is 1 club, so we have some backdoor. Turn is a blank 5. Come on, queen. River is the queen of spades. Somehow we get lucky and make the nut straight. Played the hand poorly and get rewarded with a straight. And then my opponent shows me pocket kings. Not good. All right, I'm almost 4 hours into my session. It's time to go home. I just went through the blind, so I'm playing to my big blind. I only have $140 in front of me, and I pick up king, queen of clubs. Couple limpers, I raise, of course, to 25. I get called by the same gentleman who just beat me on that last hand for the 25, and everybody else folds out. So it's just me and him. I got $60 in the pot, and I got a decent hand. I just need a decent flop. Let's see what we can get. Well, the flop looks pretty good to me when it comes king, king, 8, rainbow. Pretty damn good flop for that. I bet small, $20. Trying to figure out how to get all my money in on the river. My opponent thinks for a little bit before eventually putting in the call for the $20. In fact, he put in 25, and the dealer had to say, hey, you got too much out there. We're going to throw you $5 back. Turn card comes, looks pretty safe. It is the 7 of spades. Let's see. I've got about $100 left. Let's get about half of it in now. So I bet $45. It leaves me with $50 behind. If he has some sort of pocket pair, fine. If he has a king and he somehow has king 8 or king 7, so be it. River's the 6 of hearts. I get my last $50 in. He puts in a very quick call. I flip over my king queen thinking I'm going to finally win one, and he shows me 10 9 of clubs. Well, I figured this was a perfect way to end a horrible day and a horrible week. I took a break from poker, and that's why I didn't respond to all those comments, is because I was taking a mental break. I really needed it. I didn't want to watch poker. I didn't want to play poker. I didn't even want to talk about poker. My wife asked how my days went. I told her it sucked, and she left it at that because she knows that sometimes I just need a mental break. The only thing I've done that is poker related is make this vlog for you. And it is really hard to make a vlog after sessions like this, after the last 2 weeks. It's like, oh my God, I have to relive this all over again. But I do it for you guys because you're always there for me, and so I'm always going to be there for you. So not much to say. As best advice I can give is if you run like I've been running the last couple weeks, take a break, touch grass, spend time with your family, your friends, your dog, whatever you have. And hopefully when you come back, it will be better. So until next time, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.